In broad daylight, in plain sight, this Israeli settler shoots this resident of a Palestinian village at point-blank range. We're in the West Bank, a territory occupied by Israel since 1967. After the Hamas terrorist attacks on the 7th of October 2023, the violence from Israeli settlers has intensified even further. But incidents like these had already escalated before the attacks. In 2023, the number of injured Palestinians rose to 378, while that of those killed rose to 15. Illegal outposts are at the center of the violence. Extremist settlers have created them. Using satellite images and amateur videos, we've been able to piece together the history of one of these outposts and its founder, responsible for acts of violence against Palestinians. Our investigation reveals that the number of illegal outposts is increasing, and that they benefit from state support, whether in the form of political backing or material and financial support. Following the appointment of far-right ministers in early 2023, support has grown stronger and is helping legitimize the most violent settlers. Zakaria Adra spent 2 months in hospital. After several operations, he survived the gunshot that almost killed him on the 13th of October 2023. Residents of the Palestinian village of Al-Tuwami filmed the attack. The gunman can be seen carrying an assault rifle. A soldier who witnessed the shooting did not intervene and calmly left the scene with the gunman. To help us pinpoint the scene of the incident, we used Mapillary, a website providing photos of streets from all over the world and their location. Here we can see the same rocks, the tree and the metal building as seen in the video footage. It was filmed here, on the edge of the village of Al-Tuwami. This confirms that both the gunman and the soldier are moving east, towards this outpost, situated just 200 meters away. It is an extension of an existing Israeli settlement located just next door. Today, 470,000 Israelis live in settlements on the West Bank. Under a UN Security Council resolution, the settlements in the Palestinian and Arab territories occupied since 1967 have no legal validity. But they are recognized by Israel. As for the outposts, all are illegal, even under Israeli law. There are a total of 191 across the West Bank. In 2023 alone, 26 new outposts were set up, according to the NGO Peace Now, an unprecedented level. The Israeli NGO B'Tselem recorded 363 attacks carried out by settlers in 2023. Many of these took place close to the new outposts. This violence is often the result of a carefully planned strategy whose objective is to acquire land. like here in the southern part of Hebron. This previously deserted hilltop became the site for Meitarim Farm in 2021. Like most outposts, it was built close to a Palestinian village, this one about 600 meters away. In its inaugural video on YouTube, we see its founder, 31-year-old Yinon Levy. His wife and daughter are at his side. Prior to founding this outpost, they lived in a colony. In a Facebook post, his wife explains that the farm protects the hundreds of acres of land belonging to Israelis. Since setting up his outpost, Yinon Levy has been involved in numerous acts of violence against Palestinians. In December 2022, the NGO B'Tselem released video footage showing him alongside another settler entering Palestinian houses armed with an assault rifle. He goes on to assault a shepherd. Always protected by his armed accomplice. This other footage shows him entering a Palestinian village armed with a rifle. Today, all inhabitants of the surrounding communities have left, just like in Zanuta. The 250 villagers ultimately left in November 2023. Mayor Fayez Al-Til said this was a result of Yinon Levy's harassment.
البؤر العشوائية اللي بترأسها ينون ليفي هي اللي قام بمهاجمة السكان بزانوتا والاعتداء عليهم في الليل والنهار بالأسلحة وتكسير السيارات وتكسير وترويع الأطفال للأسف. يعني صمدنا حوالي شهر، بعد هيك ما قدرنا صراحة، يعني ما قدروا يناموا، صار عندهم كله فوبيا بالليل يقوموا يصرخوا وكذا. فالموضوع قررنا ننتقل.
Zanuta is by no means an isolated incident. In 2023, the inhabitants of 21 Palestinian villages were forced to leave due to settler harassment, a record number. For Yehuda Shaul, a former Israeli soldier turned peace activist, the settlers in the outposts aimed to grab Palestinian land.
One family taking a hilltop, sheep, cows, some youth, very violent, and basically going out grazing and beating up Palestinians, getting them off the land and displacing Palestinian communities. And in that way, one family takes thousands of dunams. So from the settlers' perspective, this has been the most successful land grab strategy led by settlers since 1967 to today.
In 2024, as a result of his repeated attacks, Yinon Levy was not only placed under European sanctions for serious human rights abuses against Palestinians, but also under US sanctions.
He regularly led groups of settlers from the Meitarim farm outpost that assaulted Palestinian and Bedouin civilians, threatened them with additional violence if they did not leave their homes, burned their fields and destroyed their property.
These measures are a first for an Israeli settlement. But on site, he's earned the support of a politician, Zvi Sukkot.
אני הגעתי כאן כדי לחזק את ינון לוי. קודם כל הוא חבר יקר, אבל מה שקרה לו זה פשוט אחד הדברים הכי הזויים שיכולים להיות.
Zvi Sukkot belongs to one of the far-right parties of the coalition in power since the end of 2022. Today, these illegal and violent outposts enjoy the open support of Benjamin Netanyahu's government, following the arrival of far-right ministers. They include the Finance and Defense Minister, Bezalel Smotrich, and the Minister of National Security, Itamar Ben-Gvir. They have one thing in common. They are both settlers. They have previously been arrested for acts of violence. When Itamar Ben-Gvir became minister, he declared his support for the settlers of an illegal outpost in July 2023.
יש כאן כל מיני פתרונות שמציעים כאלה ואחרים, צריך שיהיה כאן יישוב מלא, שלם, לא רק כאן, אלא בכל הגבעות שאנחנו רואים מסביבנו, צריך ליישב את ארץ ישראל, אנחנו מגבים אתכם, רוצו לגבעות, תתיישבו, אנחנו אוהבים אתכם.
In December 2023, the Israeli parliament granted 75 million shekels, the equivalent of 18.6 million euros, for activities to provide security elements to young settlements. Colonisation supporters refer to the outposts in this way. Far from being destroyed, 10 outposts were even granted legal status in 2023 and would become recognised as legitimate Israeli settlements. And in 2024, Minister Smotrich compiled a list of 70 outposts, calling for their legalisation. The reality is that even before this government came to power, illegal outposts already had political backing, albeit more discreetly. Yinon Levy confirmed this when we briefly spoke to him on the phone.
הקמתי את מיתרים בגלל שזה היה חלום וגם ציונות.
זו הייתה הקמה שהייתה מתואמת עם הממשלה?
כן.
איך זה קרה? איזה תמיכה קיבלתם? אתה יכול להסביר לי טיפה?
This support does indeed exist. The Har Hebron Regional Council, 42% of which is funded by the State of Israel, supported Yinon Levy in the creation of his outpost in 2021. The institution's development company signed with him a contract to set up an agricultural farm and pastureland, the NGO Peace Now discloses. Its objective is clear:
maintaining a presence on the ground, thereby helping to protect state land and to seize and preserve surrounding areas.
We questioned the regional council about their support for an illegal outpost, but we're still waiting for a response. The State of Israel also supports these outposts through heavily subsidized associations, like ARTE.tv, which recruits young people in rehabilitation to work as volunteers on outpost farms. According to the official register of NGOs, the organisation in charge of this movement received 2.8 million shekels in public funds in 2023, the equivalent of 709,000 euros. Yinon Levy received help from an association called Hashomer Yosh, which is also largely state-funded. The organisation's website says they assist the various farmers throughout Judea and Samaria, meaning those located on the West Bank. In a Facebook post, they state that their volunteers have been lending a hand in Meitarim, Yinon Levy's outpost.
By day they work, and by night they stand guard at the Avichai farm and in Meitarim.
Because on top of doing agricultural work, the members of Hashomer Yosh are responsible for guarding the outposts. The association also prides itself on purchasing security equipment to reinforce the protection of isolated areas of Judea and Samaria on the farms and hills. In other words, the outposts. The commentary includes a document listing the purchased equipment, including telescopic batons and a drone worth 55,000 shekels, almost 14,000 euros. Further images show them ready for distribution. The drone, batons, and tear gas canisters are all there. The Palestinian farmers who filmed these images accuse the settlers of using drones to scare off their livestock. The funds needed to purchase this expensive equipment come not only through crowdfunding, but also through substantial state subsidies. Despite already supporting illegal outposts, Hashomer Yosh has received over 2 million euros in public subsidies since 2018. Year on year, this represents 25% to 75% of the association's budget. In addition to these various types of support, Yinon Levy has worked directly for the Israeli government. This is despite the illegal location of his settlement and his repeated acts of violence. When he set up his outpost in 2021, he owned an excavation business called Eyal Hari Yehuda Limited. On the Israel Nature and Parks Authority website, we discovered that in March 2023, his company won a call for tenders to conduct work in the West Bank. He even worked for the Israeli army. This video footage shows him at the wheel of a bulldozer destroying a school in a Palestinian village situated in a declared military zone. He is accompanied by soldiers. Yinon Levy is even rumoured to have used one of his missions to commit acts of violence against Palestinians. Other video footage filmed near the village of Susya shows a red bulldozer carrying out destruction work. Soldiers are also present. Photos show the damage after it passed through the area. A blocked road, uprooted trees, and destroyed water tanks. We questioned Yinon Levy on these acts of destruction.
אתה עובד עם הצבא, זאת אומרת הצבא שוכר את השירותים שלך?
כן.
יש איזשהו אירוע ספציפית שקרה ב-16 לעשירי, בולדוזר ששייך לחברה שלך, הרס שוקת של מים ועצים של איזשהו כפר סמוך?
אני לא יודע, אני לא מכיר דבר כזה. אני לא מכיר את האירוע.
But it is clear from our investigation that this is the bulldozer used by Yinon Levy. The front right wheel rim is lighter in colour, as shown here in the footage of the school being destroyed. We can also see the same half-peeled label. Residents of the village claim to have recognised Yinon Levy. They have lodged an appeal. In their response, the authorities confirmed that the operation had gone off course.
This incident concerns an army unit that was sent to carry out an operation on the village infrastructure and that went beyond the scope of the mission.
To this day, no Israeli court has convicted Yinon Levy. He still lives in his outpost. And in the first 8 months of 2024, 16 new outposts were set up in the West Bank. According to a UN Security Council resolution, the settlement movement presents a major obstacle to peace in the region.